All right, welcome. Today we are diving deep into one of the three foundational pillars of Vedanta philosophy. It's a text that is as profound as it is, well, kinda cryptic, the Brahma Sutras. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at why this text was even created in the first place. Then we'll get into the mystery of who might have written it, decode its really unique structure, unpack a core philosophical concept, and finally get to the bottom of its ultimate purpose. Okay, so first things first. To really appreciate the Brahma Sutras, you have to understand the problem they were designed to solve. And it was a big one, a problem of information overload and apparent contradictions. I want you to imagine something. You've got this collection of incredibly profound sacred texts, right? The Upanishads. They're the wellspring of spiritual knowledge. But as you read through them, you start finding passages that seem to say opposite things. This created a huge challenge. How do you harmonize all of these diverse and sometimes conflicting teachings into one unified system? And that's where the Brahma Sutras come in. This text was literally designed to be the master key, the theoretical framework to systematically organize all the wisdom of the Upanishads. And it does this using sutras, which are these incredibly dense, almost thread-like aphorisms that pack a ton of meaning into just a few words. So if this text is the master key, you have to ask, who was the locksmith? Who actually architected this incredible foundational work? Well, that question is a fascinating debate all by itself. And this is where it gets really interesting, because there are two main views here. The traditional view says it was one single legendary sage, Badarayana, who is often thought to be the same person as Vedavyasa. But if you look closely at the text itself, it actually mentions other teachers and schools of thought. This has led some scholars to think, hey, maybe this wasn't one person's work, but the refined product of an entire lineage of thinkers over time. You know, regardless of who actually wrote it, the real genius of the Brahma Sutras is its structure. I mean, it is incredible. It's not just a collection of statements, it's more like a highly sophisticated machine for philosophical analysis. So, at the highest level, the entire work is organized into four main chapters, or adhyayas, and each one tackles a major philosophical theme. And within those chapters, you've got 555 sutras, but get this. These aren't sentences like you and I would write. They're more like code. The very first one, for example, is just Ataro Brahma Jignasa. Now, therefore, the inquiry into Brahman. That's it. They're impossibly dense, which is exactly why they need a ton of commentary to unpack. But here's the most brilliant part of the whole organization. The sutras are grouped into these topics for discussion called adhikaranas. Now think of an adhikarana as a single, self-contained, structured argument that's designed to resolve one specific philosophical point. And each and every adhikarana follows this super rigorous progression. You state the topic, you raise a doubt about it, you present the other side's argument, and then you refute that opposition and establish the final conclusion. This isn't just a list of rules. This is an ancient model of dialectical reasoning built right into the text's DNA. It's designed to anticipate and dismantle counterarguments to arrive at a solid truth. Okay, so now that we get the how of the sutras, let's look at the what. One of the most critical philosophical ideas that the sutras clarify is the relationship between a thing and its essential qualities. First up, you have the dharmi. This is the substance, the thing in itself, the substrate that has the qualities. When we're talking about consciousness, it's the knower. The key idea here is that it's self-illuminating. It doesn't need anything else to reveal that it exists. The perfect analogy for this is a lamp. And then you have the dharma. This is the attribute, the quality, or the property that belongs to the dharmi. So it's not the lamp itself, but the light that shines from the lamp. This light depends on the lamp to exist, and its whole job is to light up other objects. So here's the absolute key takeaway. The dharmi is the self, the consciousness, what's described as svayam prakasha. It's self-revealing. It just is. The dharma, on the other hand, is the knowledge that arises from that consciousness. That knowledge is what reveals objects in the world, but it itself is totally dependent on that self-eliminating subject. This distinction is absolutely fundamental to understanding reality in Vedanta. And all of this crazy, intricate structure, the authorship debate, these deep philosophical distinctions, it all serves one grand, overarching purpose. At its heart, the Brahma Sutras is a work of hermeneutics, which is just the art and science of interpretation. Its number one goal is to take the huge and sometimes conflicting statements of the Upanishads and show how they all point to a single, consistent, coherent vision of reality. And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The fact that a text from nearly 2,500 years ago still shapes philosophical debate just goes to show that the human quest to build a coherent system out of complex ideas is timeless. It kind of forces us to ask, what contradictions are we trying to resolve in our own understanding of the world? And what tools, ancient or modern, are we using to find that unified truth?